Defending the lineup for Dandenong City this evening. Shine the Lumberjack, Steve Andriashevich, Gregory Lovato, Liam McCormick, Luke Brookington, Thomas Salchin, Brendan Centralak, Samuel
Welcome to Endeavour Hills on what is, in fact, a rather mild and refreshingly non-cold Friday night here in NPL Victoria for some top division action as Dandenong City, who, well, flying at the moment, Dandenong City play hosts to visiting Hume City, themselves on a rather decent run of form despite last week's loss to the Bentley Greens. My name is Joe Lynch. I'm joined by Damir Kulash. And Damir, before I take our viewers through the sides, a good night. What are you expecting from this one?
It's going to be a very keenly contested contest between two teams that have, in recent weeks, been two of the form sides of the competition. Obviously, Hume have had quite a solid season as a whole. They started off well and they've continued it on throughout much of the season where they've remained entrenched in that top six, and they're chasing a top four spot, which is to the surprise of most pundits, I guess, given the fact that they've sort of flown under the radar. Meanwhile, Dandenong City, of course, that mid-season signing splurge that they had of the former A-League players, such as Brendan Chantalab, Carl Valeri, Adrian Leia, and a few more solid acquisitions has done wonders for them. They're climbing, and you imagine if they keep up this upward trajectory that they'll easily stave off relegation and potentially might even, put themselves in with a chance of a top six run.
Absolutely. Dandenong City not having lost since round 11 last week, recording a 2-0 win over Melbourne Knights in one of the marquee fixtures of the NPL Victoria season there at Knights Stadium. Dandenong City that probably can't move any higher than their 11th position on the table. Their goal difference of -8, trailing Port Melbourne, who are 3 points above them, who have a goal difference of +4. But we'll take you through their side as the contest gets underway here. Ball goes down the left flank. Starting for Dandy City, number 1, Damir Salchin. Number 6, Carl Valeri. Number 7, Cheyenne Alinejad. Number 8, Zach Thompson. Number 10, Samuel Sibatuara. Number 11, Brendan Chantalab. Number 13, Greg Lombardo. Number 17, Liam McCormick. Number 21, Stipo Andriashevich. And number 36, Steven Topolovic. Damir, obviously a few marquee names in that team sheet that many A-League viewers will be familiar with, but there's another recent addition of Dandy City that you've had your eye on for quite a while.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Samuel Sibatuara, who moved over to Victoria in the recent mid-season transfer window from Brisbane City, Queensland NPL, and he's actually 5 games, 1 goal and 4 assists.
Ball comes into the middle and it's attempted to be cleared out by Alinejad. Eventually, Dandenong City awarded a free kick, and Salchin rather boisterously encourages his side to get the ball out.
Yeah, so while the likes of Chantalab and Valeri have gotten much of the plaudits for this resurgence, and rightly so, particularly given the former's goal-scoring exploits, Sibatuara has been one solid acquisition, and I think one player that's been consistently good throughout the course of the campaign for Dandenong City has been the English midfielder Zach Thompson, who is another one that sort of flew under the radar, given the fact that, not many people knew when he signed for Dandenong City that this is a guy that accumulated 8 league appearances for Leeds United in the Championship and League One earlier on in the decade, and really found himself playing in State League One in the past 2 campaigns for St Kilda and Altona City respectively.
Long shot delivered in there by Chantalab, but it's well over the bar. Zach Thompson getting that opportunity with Leeds United when a former teammate of Chantalab, Neil Kilkenny, left Leeds United, so bit of a coincidence there.
And I think he actually might have been in the Leeds United team when a certain Paddy Kisnorbo was also marshalling their defence.
And, of course, there's also another field on the park, so we'll take you through their lineup. Hume City in goal, number 1, Michael Weir. Number 5, Daniel Dixon. As Dandenong City win a throw-in. Number 6, Harry Monaghan. Number 9, George Howard. Number 10, Stephen Hewitt. Number 11, Theo Marcalis. Number 12, Mark Ocheng. Number 13, Matt Lazaridis. Number 14, Mitch Cooper, the former Gold Coast captain, returning from international duty with Vanuatu. Number 15, Hayden Tennant. Number 18, Ben Bowler. So, obviously, with a lot of prestigious names running around for Dandy City, Demir, but of course Hume City have some pretty prestigious names of their own.
Yeah, most definitely, of course. The big one this campaign has been James Brown, who has been a goal-scoring machine with 13 goals to his name. Last few weeks, he hasn't found it back to the net. I guess injuries haven't helped. But in terms of one player to keep an eye on tonight, we talked a bit about the likes of Shantala, Valeri, Sibutwara, and the mid-season resurgence that they've managed to muster up here at Dandenong City. Mark Ocheng at Hume City, of course, spent the first half of this campaign with Dandenong City, and he was part of the signing spree that they made over summer, most of which probably you've got to say hasn't worked out. And Ocheng was one of those, found himself in and out of the squad, couldn't really nail down a starting position, whether it was at right back or further in a more advanced position, but I think he's loving life at Hume. 5 starts, a goal and an assist to his name since joining.
Long ball played over the top by Dandenong, looking for Thompson. So the ball will go out on this left flank. Yes, James Brown, 13 goals to his name so far this NPL Victoria season, starting on the bench after copying a knock last week against Bentley and coming off in the first half. Speaking to Hume head coach Nick Hegarty before this game, told me that perhaps if, as we briefly pause, as a ball is played into the area, but it goes out, and it will be a goal corner. Sorry. Yeah, speaking to Nick Hegarty before this game, he told me that if Hume City didn't have Doherty Cup commitments coming up and FFA Cup commitments coming up, that Brown perhaps would be a starter for Hume tonight, but instead, load management being so important for the side, he's sitting out as Dandy City work a corner routine here. Ball delivered in towards the back post, but it's gone out for a goal kick. Was looking for Lombardo, the big centre-back, at the back post.
And of course, with Hume City, they got the news midweek, 2 days ago, in fact, that they've got an away trip to Canberra to face the Tigers up there in what should be probably a winnable game for them, you'd imagine, given the fact that they do come from Australia's second best domestic competition.
A bit hard done by were the Cooma Tigers in that one, given that the game is being played at Deakin Stadium in Canberra, which is about 112 kilometres from their actual home ground in southern New South Wales. So not really a home fixture for the Tigers in that one, more a home fixture for the ACT NPL. Sibutwara bursting down the right. Sibutwara continuing into the area, but just can't maintain a handle on the ball, and it will be a goal kick. But as you mentioned, Amir, Sibutwara, someone that you have to keep an eye on. He's had so many assists here early in the season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's made a bright start to life at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, and I think that he's another one of those players that comes in from interstate and only strengthens Victoria's NPL competition. I was going to say one player that's been immensely impressive for Hume over the course of this campaign has been Paul Wilson, formerly of Adelaide United youth team, the young centre-back. He's really set him, earmarked himself as one of the best young centre-backs outside the A-League. He's missing tonight for Hume, so I wonder if that will have an impact on how the game pans out.
And the ball delivered into the penalty area, but it's just knocked back to Michael Weir. Michael Weir, another player that made the trip down from Queensland. Former Brisbane Strikers youth player, Michael Weir, was a hero in that FFA Cup victory over Oakley, saving a couple of penalties. His ball played into the area, but it's just poked away by Alinejad. And now Dandenong City have a chance to break. Ball is just played forward, hopefully for Shantalab. Well, the ball is collected, and now Lazaridis will play it forward down the left flank to Michaelis. But he's dispossessed. Sibutwara comes away with it, plays the ball into the middle of the park looking for Thompson, and now they'll try to switch it over to the left flank, will Dandy City. Strong defence, and that will be a free kick to Hume.
Yeah, and obviously one of the benefits that the FA Cup does provide for competing teams, particularly from an NPL level, is the chance to have a mid-season away trip. And while the bullying Lions and Moreland Zebras didn't get that during the course of midweek, I'm sure Hume City would be, delighted to have gotten a winnable game interstate, and hopefully then they can later on in the competition have a home fixture at ABD Stadium, where I'm sure they'll have another bumper crowd.
I think I was talking in my conversation with Hegarty. He mentioned to me that this was the first time when it's been an option, it's actually a first ever away trip in the FFA Cup round of 32 for Hume City.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the first time that Hume City players have gone over to Canberra, but at least this time they'll be allowed to do so. Shout out to Ivan Pavlak and Kofi Danning up in Canberra.
Ball is played forward for Chantalab, but the ball is taken away by Lazaridis. Well, plays it forward to Michaelis. Throw in one by Hume. Ball deemed to have come in off Sibatuara. Ball came into Bowler and he'll just play it back, and Hume will try to play the ball out long. Hewitt just flicking it forward. Cheng just plays the ball back into the middle, and now Lazaridis has some space here on the left. Cuts back inside and plays the ball back, but that's going to be a turnover. Ball forced to Chantalab, who can make a turn and then knock a ball forward to Valeri. Valeri plays the ball into the middle, but it's nodded away just before that diving header can come in, and Hume City survive the early turnover and break by Dandy City.
Yeah, great defensive header there by Hayden Tennant, the young centre-back who's filled in across the back four over the past a couple of months, and he's really made a position of his own in that starting 11 and actually replaced Danny Dixon.
Shibatuara plays the ball through to Chantalab, and Chantalab with a clever flick on. Demi, you're talking about a number of the additions, but I believe Damir Salchin in the Dandy City goal, he is a Dandy City legend, but a bit of an addition himself, really, isn't he?
Yeah, Damir Salchin retired at the end of last season with that ceiling goal penalty that he did score in that NPL 2 Grand Final against Altona Magic. We thought we'd seen the last of him, but I think the goalkeeping troubles of the first half of the campaign led them to re-sign him. I know that there was some talk of maybe a former Dandenong City junior, Eugene Galekovic, coming back, but I think Salchin was always their primary target.
Hewitt standing over the ball here. Feints everybody out and then just plays the ball out into the left to Lazaridis. But he's closed down by Alinejad. Hewitt plays the ball in, it's deflected. Big pack forms, but Salchin with a strong punch, and then it's just booted forward. Ocheng just plays the ball back. However, free kick to Dandenong City. Reminder, we are live on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages, so if you are tuning in on those platforms live, thank you for joining us. If you're tuning in at a later date, thanks for bumping up the viewing figures anyway. If you are watching on Facebook, be sure to leave us a comment. I believe Damir is currently poring over some of them.
Yeah, Lockie saying Tennant to munch Chantalab and send him back to the A-League Grand Final loss.
Sibatuara there bursting through, had a chance, but it was a strong save by Weir, but the danger not cleared yet, and eventually the big goalkeeper collects.
Sorry, Joey, I almost stole your highlights moment there. Also, MJ Windsor wants a shout-out for Bob Blager, a stalwart for the State League, celebrating his 50th birthday tonight. Have a good one, mate.
Ball was played forward there for Howard, but Topalovic with a strong challenge. Now Dandenong City have a chance to bring the ball forward. Alinejad will walk over and take the throw-in. Ball is played forward. Howard not appreciating the attention paid to him by Played it back to Salchin. Alinejad wants it on the right, and he'll get it. Plays the ball back into the middle now, and they'll try to work the ball forward quickly, but Sibatuara's touch, it was probably the right idea, Tamir, trying to work that overlap with Alinejad, but just touch let him down.
Yeah, and Alinejad has welcomed himself back into the Dandenong City starting 11. Of course, they've trialled a number of right-backs over the course of the campaign, including Oche, Jaden Unmack, even Luke Isles in recent weeks, and I think Alinejad is probably their best attacking option.
Dangerous signs here as Dandenong City have another chance. That was a shot coming in from Thompson, but danger not fully passed as Dandenong City can reload. Out there on that left flank. And in retained position now, long ball coming forward, looking for Sibatuara, but is that Michaelis who's down on the pitch? Didn't see what it was. And assistance on both sides, bantering in front of us, if you can pick it up.
And we've got a pretty high-profile name as the fourth official tonight. It's not your usual under-20s main referee. It's, in fact, the man who was refereeing the A-League Grand Final, in Sean Evans, who did take charge of that Dandenong City-South Melbourne game from a few weeks ago where Adrian Leia, of course, copped a really hard knock on the head. Unintentional from his own goalkeeper, Damien Salchin, who I think might have taken a bit of a nudge from the South Melbourne forward, Billy Constantinidis. But good to see Adrian Leia get back on the field last week. I got a few minutes towards the end at Dandenong City, consolidated that 2-0 away victory against the Melbourne Knights, who themselves have had quite a good campaign.
With the mention of the bench, we'll take you through the benches of both sides. So on the bench for Dandy City is number 12, Sean Filipovic. Apologies for butchering the name, Anglo that I am. Jaden Unmack, Stephen King, number 16, and number 25, Adrian Leia. On the bench for Hume, the aforementioned James Brown, number 16, Tom Harris, number 19, Marko Delic, number 20, James Kupranovsky, and number 24, Umut Bozdugan. Nodded on by Shantalab, but cleared back away by Tennant. Strong defending from Hume to split the danger, but continuing coming, that was Andriashevich with a wild kick. Played forward now and a chance for Howard to go to work. He'll just play the ball back to Lazaridis. Lazaridis, bit of a miscommunication there. Perhaps was looking for Michaelis or Howard, whoever it was, didn't get the ball, and now the ball is just booted forward. Chance for Thompson to chase, but just played back out by Tennant. Valeri instructing his side to go long. They've got the wind. Veteran advice from the Melbourne Victory standout. Played back into the middle. Ball was intended for Andriashevich, but couldn't get a touch on it.
Yeah, I think one thing that's quite noticeable is how much of a commanding and assuring presence Carl Valeri is in this Dandenong City starting 11. He knows where to make the movements, when to apply pressure, and when to apply the perfect pass. And he's been doing that all game and in the previous few weeks as well. And it's sort of a player that sort of stands head and shoulders above much of the rest of the league when you watch him play. A bit like Mas Madoka when he initially came into the league a few seasons ago for Avondale. He just seemed a class above, and I think Valeri is another one of those players whose experience and quality has shown in the past few weeks.
Ball comes back out into the right to Sibatuara. He'll just play the ball back to Alinejad. Comes under significant pressure from Michaelis, but eventually wins a throw-in for his side out on this right flank. Valeri, interesting in that of the three high-profile additions they made, of course Shantalab having had times with Sydney United and Parramatta Power, and Leia having a history with the Melbourne Knights, but this is really Valeri's first ever stop with what you'd call a traditional Australian club. He was with the AIS before he went overseas, and then Melbourne Victory, so his first proper experience of the state leagues, I guess you would say, Demir.
Yeah, I think he was a bit too young for the Canberra Cosmos in the NSL era, as we see a long throw in.
Will be a free kick to Hume.
Yeah, and it's good to see him drop down to this level. Hopefully he can not only provide you the quality, but also be a model professional for a lot of the younger boys that are currently in that Dandenong City team, not only in the senior team, but in the 20s. And, you know, potentially his guidance and leadership can... be sort of a nurturing presence in this Dandenong City dressing room. And there's a lot of good younger quality players in this Dandenong City starting 11 that might be able to make the jump into the A-League. So I'm sure having Kim on board as a teammate is beneficiary to their cause.
Thomas Valeri still involved with Melbourne Victory. Perhaps he can put in a good word with today's announced Melbourne Victory head coach, Marco Kurtz. Ball is played forward in the direction of Chantalab, but he'll probably, at his age, fair enough, just watch it roll over the line. As some of the fans across from us on the hill here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex burst into life.
Of course, Frank Holohan Soccer Complex would have to be the longest drive that Hume City have had since round 1 of the season, when they ventured out to the other side of Dandenong and played Dandenong Thunder. And on that evening, it was a convincing 4-0 win where Mitch Cooper and James Brown ran riot. So far, it's been a bit of a timid affair with both teams quite evenly poised, as you'd expect given their recent form and also positions on the ladder, but also the playing quality that you have on the park at the moment.
Mitch Cooper has been rather quiet out there on his right flank. Hume will be looking to get the young man going. Has scored 2 goals in 12 appearances so far this season for Hume. As the ball is played forward in the direction of McCormick, and he will knock a ball forward, hoping to find Sibatwara. But once again, it will just roll out for a goal kick. Perhaps the wind playing a bit of havoc with Dandenong City's judgment of the ball in these early stages. Cal Valeri not appreciating the attention of George Howard. And that is not the best clearing header for Dandenong. Dandenong City appealing for an offside on Howard. Instead, the ball rolled all the way forward to Marcalis. Danger not cleared. Lazaridis in possession. Pinballing around. Ocheng will just splay this ball out wide, looking for Michaelis, who goes to work against Alinejad. Puts the ball into the area, looking for Howard. It's just cleared away by Lombardo. And a free kick has been picked out. Valeri standing over the ball. And just splay it out onto that left flank. Free kick for Dandenong. Chantalab going down under the challenge, winning a free kick. And Damir, you've got a number of talented players for Dandenong. Is this an area where you go for goal, or you do something from the training track?
Well, I did see them a few weeks ago in a game against Port Melbourne. Set-piece opportunity, Thompson swung it in. Lombardo jumped in front of the goalkeeper, got his head to the ball and ended up scoring. But from the way he's placed this, I think Brendan Shantalab is going for goal.
We'll see what Shantalab can do. Shantalab over the bar. Would have been spectacular had it come off. No doubt would have gotten himself shared across social media by the A-League and National Premier League's accounts once again. No doing, however, and instead it will just be Weir to put the ball out. 22-year-old goalkeeper Michael Weir.
Also got another shout out here from Fakhri. Shout out a happy birthday to Hume City's under-16 coach, Mus Fahimi. So happy birthday, Mus.
Happy birthday indeed. As ball is played forward for Shantalab. I just got a touch to it, did Weir, to put the ball out for a corner. That was... Well, Dandenong City have probably had... It's pretty even. Maybe you'd say 55-45 Dandy City, Demir, but maybe that was the best chance Dandy City have had thus far, one of their best.
Yeah, definitely. I think had it not been for Weir's touch, it might have ended up being in the back of the net from Shantalab there as Thompson prepares to take this corner kick.
Thompson swings the ball in. Oh, spectacular attempted bicycle shot from Pilkington. Mitch Cooper has just worked underneath the ball. And Hume City player is still down. A couple of injuries to Hume City players in the early stages. Perhaps copped an errant knock as Pilkington attempted to go viral himself. Demir indicating to me that he thinks it might be Ben Bowler, who is down. Has played every game so far this season, has Ben Bowler. Has got a goal to his name, as well as 4 yellow cards.
A player who's absent tonight for Dandenong City, who was starting to find his form really, was James Kelly. He picked up a red card a couple of weeks ago in that 2-2 draw against Green Gully, and that was actually his second red card. Funnily enough, he did cop it not only in the first half of the second time this season, but also by the same referee in Chris Hope. So Kelly is serving a mandatory 2-game suspension as far as I'm aware of, so he should be back for Dandenong City next week.
I believe Kelly only one of 2 players in NPL Victoria with multiple red cards this year, I think, if memory serves. Couldn't tell you the other one, I just remember there was 2 of them and he was one of them. Kelly also having 4 goals and 4 yellow cards to his name so far this season for Dandy City. Action will resume with a drop ball. Hume just give it back to Hajduk. Played. Sibatuara just watches it go over the line and then he'll leave it for Alinejad. He'll play the ball down into that corner for Thompson. And he'll put a ball into the area. Shantalab was underneath it. And Andriy Shevic's follow-up effort probably not going to beat a goalkeeper like Michael Weir with an effort like that, are you, Damir?
No, you're going to need a whole lot better if you want to test one of the best shot stoppers in the league and perhaps even outside the A-League. And what's the most promising thing about Michael Weir is that he's still quite young. I believe he's in his early to mid-20s. So in goalkeeper years, he's definitely got basically his prime is his best is yet to come. So one to maybe look out for.
Now, I did notice when I was doing some research for this game, Demir, that Michael Weir, an article did mention that at one point he was the understudy at Brisbane Strikers to a certain Michael Turnbull, who viewers of The Bachelor would know from, of course, labelled himself a Socceroos goalkeeper as well, did Mr. Turnbull.
Are you sure it wasn't the other way around, that Michael Turnbull was Michael Weir's understudy? Because he certainly got form in, I guess you can say, misleading statements. As well as also editing his own Wikipedia. So
Good looking bloke though. Got himself on the telly. And he has done some charity work, so we can't be too harsh on him. Using his fame for good. This ball comes out. We'll stop talking about The Bachelor, because no doubt our viewers are not interested in The Bachelor, as Alinejad will take a throw in on the right flank. It will be headed out for a corner now, which Thompson will just amble over to take. Of course, there is another game happening around NPL Victoria, which we'll update you after this corner. Thompson swings the ball in. Again, men arriving, and that's headed in, but as just kept out. Just kept out by Weirdemir, and that's the shot-stopping skills that you were talking about. That looked... And that sounds like a rather severe injury.
Not only is it a severe injury, but unfortunately the player who is down for Dandenong City is Stipo Andrijašević, and we all know about the injury problems that he's had over the years, and quite concerned faces, not only on the Dandenong City bench, but also the players who immediately indicated to their physio to come out. You can't really blame anyone for that one. We made an outstanding save to deny Shantalab, and we see the stretchers being called out here, so it unfortunately doesn't look too good for the injury-plagued Dandenong City attacker. But yeah, we made an outstanding save there tonight, Shantalab, and as the follow-up happened, I think the Hume City player was marshalling the ball to go out. Andrijašević went for the ball, and it appears that he's come off second best in that one.
Really unfortunate scenes here at Dandenong City. Substitute will have to be made here, and unfortunately we could hear Andrijašević's in pain as soon as it happened from our position over here on the touchline, and a stretcher has come out as well. Well, as mentioned, there is another game going on.
Yeah, and I'll update you on that one, Joey. Bentley Greens take a 1-0 lead into the halftime break. Matt Fertel with a goal in the 17th minute. It's his 11th goal of the campaign, and he's been in great goal-scoring form in the last few weeks. That also means that Fertel is level with Brandon Barnes as equal fourth on the Golden Boot standings.
Coming back on are the players now. Topalovic trying to tell his side to switch on.
And on behalf of myself and Joey Lynch, we can only wish Stipo Andrijašević all the best. No one likes to see a player injured, but particularly a player like Stipo Andrijašević, who has had, as I mentioned, ongoing injury problems over the years.
As he just makes his way past now, and he's holding his face, so in pain. Looks like so it looks as though he's kicked the post, so perhaps an ankle injury or leg injury.
Well, hopefully it's not the knee, because he's had a number of knee injuries, as I've alluded to over the years. So if it's something sort of short-term / medium-term that won't keep him out till the end of the season, we can only hope it's that and not something more sinister.
Anthony Poliak has come on for the injured Andrijašević, and once again, myself and Damir and no doubt all of those on the stream wish him all the luck in the world, in that it's not a serious injury, as Weir gets us back underway here at Frank Holland Soccer Complex. Played forward for Hume, but Alinejad sticks a boot up and gets the ball away. Thompson. Free kick given away by Hume, and a chance for Dandy City to get something going. Valeri standing over it, wanted to move it quickly. Instead will be forced to get set up once again. There's the ball out there onto the left flank. Ball delivered into the area. Just players all around it there. I think it was Polyak that was, and Chantalab was there as well, attacking the ball, but Weir comes away with it. So a number of dangerous balls into the area for Dandy City in this first half. None of them actually finding pay dirt, however. As Weir puts another ball long towards the left flank, trying to spring Lazaridis, but he's been having a good game, has Alinejad, and he prevents the attack. Sibatwara having a exchange of words there with Lazaridis, as Hume got us going once again. Monahan plays the ball long, and that's flicked onwards for Cooper, who's drifted over to the left, and he goes down under a challenge from Alinejad and wins a free kick in a dangerous area for Hume.
Not a lot of contact in that one, but Cooper did tremendously well to get himself first to the ball, and that touch was enough just to put him off balance, and the referee correctly awards a free kick. So a good set-piece opportunity for Hume City here.
Probably the angle just slightly too difficult for a shot, so you imagine a set-piece move coming up.
Hewitt's been one of the best creators in NPL this season. Not only has he got 4 goals to his name, but he's also the leading assists king at Hume City with 5 to his name.
Standing over the ball. Hewitt's shot is just punched away by Salchin, but then Hewitt will follow up with a chance to head the ball back, and a clash in the area, and it will be a free kick for Dandy City. Foul adjudged to have been delivered to Alinejad. Hume City not happy, but Alinejad is still down for Dandenong City.
My eyes could have been deceiving me. I thought Hume City player got himself to the ball. Got the ball, and essentially Alinejad came in and made contact with him, and they both sort of fell down. And if it was going to be a foul for anyone, it might have been the Hume player and potentially a penalty. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt to referee Jack Morgan on that one. He had a closer view.
Perhaps just a case that Alinejad made the loudest noise and therefore won the free kick. The ball is just pumped long in the direction of Chantalab, but can't kill the ball down, and it will instead be cleared out by Hume City. And now they will have a throw-in over there on that right flank, which Cooper has drifted back to now after winning a free kick on the left just moments ago. Wild boots, but Dandy City will force a turnover, and that's flicked onwards. Charge down, and now maybe a chance for Hume to break. Howard is just... well... we'll call that clever defending there from Dandy, preventing Hume making the run. The referee adjudged it to be fairly, so it was in fact clever defending. Ball played long now. Once again, Chantalab tries to fly and flick the ball on. But Marcalis will come away with it for Hume. Marcalis has gone over to that right flank now, and just Hewitt on the left. Headed on by Howard for Cooper. Neither side really able to fashion together a series of passes as Hume City win free kick on the halfway line. Bowler was standing over it, but instead it will be Monahan that just pumped this ball long, looking for Ocheng, but cleared away. Chantalab was pushed underneath it, and it will be a free kick to Dandy City. Carl Valeri with in the end, an excellent free kick to just pick out Alinejad on the right flank, and Alinejad will bring the ball forward. Well, just a miscommunication. There's been a couple of those miscommunications between Alenijad and Sibatuara, and that ball will roll out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think what's missing for both teams is just that cutting edge in the final third, where they basically do a lot of good things up until they get to that stage, and then that final pass, that final piece of the jigsaw is really missing there to really create a goal-scoring threat up front. So I think that's something that they need to work on. If they can't, if they go into halftime at 0-0, that's something that you'd expect to change in the second half.
Chantalab does have 5 goals in his time at Dandy City. Good for a goal again thus far as that ball is played forward for Polyak, who just turns and will play the ball back, but no, he's unable to keep it in. It will be a goal kick. Chantalab has scored 5 goals for Dandy City since his arrival. Good for a goal a game, but for much of this game has been reduced to just trying to flick on long balls towards him from his Dandenong City teammates, Demir.
Yeah, and he might have only been here for 6 weeks, but he's already Dandenong City's top goal scorer for the campaign. So I guess, that also alludes to the fact that in the first half of the campaign, they were really struggling to find it back to net. It didn't help him that one of their summer signings from Tasmania, striker Braden Mann, picked up bizarre and I think serious back injury. So hopefully we wish Braden all the best as he continues his recovery for that one, and hopefully see him on a pitch in Victorian football very shortly, because from what I've been told, he certainly banged them down in Tasmania.
Will be a goal kick. Just looks like it will be pumped long by Salchin.
I have actually been informed that he has returned to Tasmania, where he's turning out for his old club, Devonport Strikers.
Not to throw you onto the bus, Demir, but you're welcome.
Credit Joey Lynch for that one.
There's a free kick to Dandy City. Thompson just knocks the ball forward, looking for Sibatuara. Cut out, however. Hume City doing a good job of preventing Dandy from getting these balls in behind their defensive line. Both sides competing for it, and Valeri will come away with them. Try to spring once again Sibatuara in behind the Hume defence, but Weir comes out to collect. And the ball is played down to the left flank for Cooper now, who tries to turn, but it's an excellent strong challenge from Topalovic. Lazaridis with the ball in his hands. Valeri applying the pressure to Hewitt, who's forced to just go back, all the way back to Dixon. Now they'll just switch the play back to Monaghan on the left. Just Hume trying to switch things up, just maintaining possession, trying to move this veteran Dandenong City side from left to right, stretch him out. But that will be a free kick. Hume City, Nick Hegarty appreciating the passing of his side, instructing Hume to play. Let's play. But Monaghan just turns that ball over, and it's a chance for Dandenong City to break. Chantal tried to work the ball to Thompson, but instead it's just nicked away by Hewitt. Now Hume with their own chance to move forward. Ball is played to Cooper. Ball, but Lombardo is there with a strong challenge to put the ball out for a throw-in.
Yeah, I think shout out to both defences. They've been quite solid over the course of the opening half that we've had so far here. Both of haven't let through much in terms of opposing attacks, and I think both coaches would be delighted with the defensive efforts their respective back fours have provided so far this opening half.
Hume trying to get something going down the right flank. There was Howard, Hewitt and Lazaridis all waiting for a ball in, but nothing coming yet. Everybody in the Dandenong City defensive half, and there's acres of space out here on the left. And Lazaridis will go to work with some of that, trying to come inside, but Alinejad with just a strong challenge. It's temporarily clear the danger, but Monaghan is going to put the ball straight back in. Hewitt turns. Still with Hewitt. Eventually gets a ball in, nodded onwards by Howard, but unable to really get anything going. Howard still looking for his first NPL Victoria goal.
Yes, because he did get a brace which eliminated the Bentley Greens out of the FA Cup and propelled Hume into the next round, where, of course, they ended up beating the Oakley Cannons in a penalty shootout. And I must say, since he's dropped out of the A-League, he's put a bit of meat on him. I think George Howard has got a more solid build now. He seems more like a target man a la Milos Lujic than he did back in the A-League, where he was pretty much a wide forward / winger.
Thompson has a chance. The ball was nodded onwards, but it was by a Hume defender. It's now Mango down in the middle. No doing, however, from the referee. Dandy City still with the ball. Valeri tried to thread the needle, wasn't able to do so. We'll get another chance. Valeri plays it out to Sibatoir on the right. Sibatoir curls a shot, but it's straight at Michael Weir. Nervy moments for Hume, but once again, they bend but do not break. Just coming forward of Dandenong City, quite happy to let Weir come out and eventually bomb the ball long. 4 minutes of added time here at the end of the first half. Thompson just plays the ball long, was trying to find Polyak, but Polyak just watches it roll over the line and decides he was never getting to that one. Probably correctly.
Yeah, a bit of confusion in the comment section between a few people as to the way that we've been pronouncing Brendan Chantalab, who, of course, is better known as Brendan Santalab in the A-League. But given this is the NPL, I think we can let go of the anglicised versions of people's names and stick to the original Croatian way of saying it, which is Brendan Chantalab.
What Demir said.
I'm sure if Lucy Zelic is watching, which I'm sure she isn't, she'd be quite proud of that.
I'd like to think so. Well, I'm not quite as good at them as Demir, but I am trying my best. As Alinejad comes forward, just puts the ball back into the middle for Thompson. Thompson will continue his run and eventually get the ball back, and he'll go down just outside the area. And now this Demir, just minutes into extra time as the yellow card comes out as well for the first yellow card of the game. A chance in a very, very dangerous area for Dandenong City to get something going.
Indeed it is. I think it was Marcellus who picked up the yellow, or it might have also been Monaghan. Marcellus is the one complaining, so I assume it's him. It's a great set-piece opportunity. McCormick's around the ball, as is Pilkington. I think you might see McCormick or Valeri go for it. I'm sure Limo fancies this one. Carl obviously being the more experienced player. Luke Pilkington still hasn't stepped aside, so he's another one to watch here. It's going to be between McCormick and Pilkington.
Pilkington and McCormick standing over it. Will be McCormick, but well, much ado about nothing really. To me, that ball just never looked likely coming off the boot.
Yeah, anticlimactic, a bit like that Chantalap free kick not too long ago as well, which was from a further distance out. And I thought that, given that he took that one, Chantalap might have been fancying himself there, but it wasn't to be the case. And McCormick, who I've seen scored those types of goals from the free kick opportunity, just couldn't keep that one down. It was always rising, and it just wasn't good enough in the end.
And that was a rather healthy push in the back from Tennant, but he got away with it. And after a bit of back and forth, it will come forward down this right flank. Perhaps one final chance for Hume to get something going, but once again, no joy going down that flank. And now Dandenong City have a chance to break. Still down the left. Polyak puts the ball back into the middle, looking for Sibatuara, but it's a strong challenge from Lazarese, and then Lazarese just boots the ball into the trees out here on the broadside flank. Broadcast flank, not broadside. Linejad, long throw in. Clever little flick on from Thompson for Sibatuara, but then a just strong old-fashioned centre-back challenge from Dixon to put the ball out for a late corner for Dandenong City, which Thompson will amble over to take. Perhaps another chance for Chantalab to fly. Ball comes in towards the back post this time. And it will be a free kick awarded against Dandenong City. Just a bit of climbing over the back there from Topalovic, I think it was. And that will be half-time in the end. We're not given another chance to boot the ball long. So at the end of the first 45 minutes down here in Melbourne's southeast, neither side able to make a breakthrough. And Demir, really a game in which it's been an arm wrestle, you would say. It's not been free-flowing, beautiful attacking football, though, has it?
No, it hasn't. I think that's a perfect description for it. It's been an arm wrestle. Neither side has been able to get the better of the other, and I think that, as I mentioned earlier on in the half, there's a lot of good build-up work up until you get to that final third, where they're struggling to get that cutting edge, that killer pass or the killer shot to really break the other defence and score a goal. And I expect that to improve as the second half goes on, particularly with game opening up and also some fresh faces, potentially someone like James Brown from the bench can create a spark out of nothing.
Should be a very interesting 45 minutes in the second half down here in Melbourne Southeast in Endeavour Hills. So for those, thank you for joining us for the first half on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages. At half time here, it is Dandenong City 0, Hume City 0.
1, Dandenong number 2.
Welcome back to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex down here in Melbourne's southeast on this rather mild Friday night for some NPL Victoria action. As fourth placed, Hume City have paid a visit to 11th placed but flying high, Dandenong City. Scores after the first 45 minutes here were 0-0, both sides creating half chances in what was an arm wrestle of a first half, but nothing that you'd really declare absolutely should have gone in the back of the nets. Of course, the first half, also a bit of a sad note when Stipo Andrijašević was stretchered off from the field. Still haven't had an update on him, have we, Demir? Oh, so he's on crutches in the stands, I've been informed. But really, first half, bit of an arm wrestle, Demir. Do you think either of these sides have something, I'll just let you take a bite of your chivap roll and swallow that before we turn over to you. Do either of these sides have something in the tank to break this game wide open? And if so, who?
I think most definitely you're looking at Hume City. You've got Cooper, Howard on the park, and even players like Marcellus and Lazaridis that can have that bit of X factor as we stick with play here as McCormick plays in Sibatuara.
Sibatuara trying to just flick the ball over his head, no doing. Ball is booted out, but only so far as Alinejad, who was probably one of Dandy City's best players in that first half, wasn't he, the right back?
Yeah, sort of a calming presence on the right-hand side. He's had a bit to contend with there with Lazaridis and Marcellus attacking, but I think he's had quite a competent game defensively. Probably haven't seen his best going forward, but then again, we haven't seen the best of the attackers, so it's been one of those evenings where, as we mentioned earlier, they're just struggling to find that cutting edge in the front third.
It's Weir standing over it, had to make a few saves in that first half, but nothing the big man can't handle. Cheng out here on the right flank, comes under pressure from Valeri and will put the ball out, and it will be a throw-in won by Valeri for his side. Thompson trying to turn the ball on, wanted a free kick. However, now there's a chance for Dandy City to come through. McCormick just trying to play through, ball in behind the defence, but it just rolls slowly and easily into the hands of Michael Weir. And now it will be Salchin on the ball instead, and he'll just play the ball out to Lombardo, who'll then play it out onto this left flank. Clever little move there by Polyak, but then he goes down, and it will be a free kick.
And it was one of those unfortunate situations where Oching has fouled Polyak there, and Tennant's just booted the ball right into Polyak, obviously unintentionally, but you never, as a player, like to cop one of those ones, because I can tell you what, they definitely hurt.
Thankfully it's not wet and raining, so at least it wasn't a wet ball. Those are the worst. It's taken quickly. Valeri standing over the ball, just floats the ball into the penalty area, trying to find a man. Boots flying everywhere, and that was just a spectacular overhead effort from Polyak. Just never really got enough power on it or direction on it to challenge Michael Weir, who's now holding the ball. Will probably be forced to go long, and she does. Cooper underneath it, trying to flick it onto Howard, can't do so, but that's a follow-up ball, is played long for Howard, but he will just fall over the feet of Lombardo. No hint of a foul whatsoever, and the ball goes to Salchin, who'll then roll it out to Alinejad out on the right. This is good from Dandenong City. Sibatuara trying to get the ball forward, but just as I say, it was good for Dandenong City. They put the ball out for a Hume throw-in. Long ball over the top, trying to find Cooper, and Cooper is behind the defence. Cooper chests the ball down, has to have a shot. But Salchin was out quickly to charge the ball out. And it will be a goal kick, but Cooper, you were talking about game breakers, Demir, that pace from Cooper.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run from Cooper, but give credit to Damir Salchin. He made himself big there, and he produced a fantastic save, and ultimately ricocheted off Cooper, and it'll be a Dandenong City goal kick. But fantastic save from the veteran shot stopper there to prevent Mitch Cooper from opening the scoring.
Demir Kulash sticking up for Damir Salchin, the Demir Union sticking together. And reminder, there is another game going on in NPL Victoria, and well, bit of crazy times over there. Bentley Greens took the lead in the 17th minute through Matt Thurtell, but Demir, some updates.
Yeah, fun to have a 2-1 lead, and I've been told that not only has he scored twice, but one of those 2 goals, not sure exactly which one, is an absolute worldie from Brandon Barnes, who moves up to 13 goals for the season, and who knows, maybe a late charge for that golden boot that he won last campaign. He is 4 goals behind Liam Boland now, but given the form he's on, you wouldn't count it against him. Ultimately propelling himself to the top of those golden boot standings come the end of round 26.
Was the Golden Boot just one of a number of awards? Brandon Barnes won last year, was the Media Player of the Year as well. I believe the Players Player of the Year as well.
After 18 rounds, I would assume, like myself, you'd be one of the people come the end of the season that'd be voting for the Player of the Year award. If you're voting now, who do you give it to?
It's a difficult one. As a biased former striker, you'd probably be going with maybe a Salmon or a Boland, one of the leading goal scorers.
I'd say Salmon would be up there. I'd actually probably give it to Tsuki Sakaya from Avondale. I think he's been one of the best, if not the best signing of this NPL campaign. Of course, came down from the RPL Leichhardt Tigers after a man-of-the-match performance to eliminate Melbourne Victory out of the FA Cup last term. And, he's one of those players that could probably be an A-League player if he's afforded the opportunity.
Of course, he's a visa player though, and those sort of foreign player limits always working against visa NPL players that want to make the jump to the next level. Definitely has. It leads the NPL with 8 assists, is it, Demir? 8 assists. Of course, stealing your info here, but Samuel Simatuara, a player on the park since he's moved down from Queensland, already has 4. So he's coming along at a rate of knots.
And I've been told that Sibatuara was actually recommended to Dandenong City by former Socceroo and A-League coach with the likes of Adelaide United and Sydney FC, John Kazmina, who has, of course, been coaching up in Queensland with Brisbane City, who are Sibatuara's former club.
Salchin will just put this ball long into wide open spaces here on the left flank. No Dandenong player in the vicinity. Said it was Ocheng who collected the ball, but his resulting pass, looking for the run of Michaelis, is poor. And it will be a throw-in for the hosts. Throw-in from Pilkington was intended for Thompson. Cheng just said, none of that stuff, thank you, mate, and just put his boot through it.
And as a player of Kenyan descent, I do wonder if he was watching Kenya this morning in the African Cup of Nations, who I think got the better of Tanzania in a 5-goal thriller. Of course, a key point of interest for a lot of Aussie viewers, and particularly Melbourne Victory fans, is Elvis Kamsoba, who did not get on the park in Burundi's 1-0 defeat to Madagascar, but who did have 30 minutes of competitive action for the African Cup of Nations debutants against Nigeria in their opening game.
Yes, Kamsoba getting the call up for Burundi. Camps over with Melbourne victory now, but as a lot of Knights fans are keen to point out, did receive a call up to the Burundi national side when he was still playing with Melbourne Knights as well. He just turned it down.
Yes, and he did make his debut earlier this month, so it's been a long time coming for Cam Sober, but hopefully it doesn't prove from an Australian perspective one of those ones that we let slip away, because he's one player that I think has a lot of raw talent and potential.
So his breakaway here as the ball comes in. Sorry to interrupt you, Demir, but in the end, Hume can't get ahead on it.
Who can only get better as he spends more time in that professional environment, and if he does, I'm sure it'll give a big tick of approval to the NPL, so we might see more of these boys making the step up into the professional sphere and showing off their talents, because I must admit, it is still early days in that off-season, but I have been disappointed with the level of A-League recruitment, given the fact that it does appear to be a lot of the same old players that have been sort of regurgitated from one club to another who are getting gigs.
Of course, we did hear so many stories about the Mariners bringing in half of NPL Victoria on trials very early in the off-season, but still waiting for the fruits of that to ripen. As now Hume player come through. It's Michaelis looking for Cooper, who's got into more of a central role here in the second half. However, done well there to keep the ball in of Dandy City, and they can get foot moving quickly. McCormick went down heavily under a challenge from Hume, and he's won a free kick, which will be taken quickly once again. Thompson plays the ball to Unmak on the left. Ocheng comes in, provides the distraction, but ball has only gone as far as McCormick. McCormick winds up a shot, but it's over the bar and into the grandstand behind the goals here at Frank Holohan, and McCormick would have... Well, he'll think back on that, wanting to do better, won't he, Demir?
Yeah, that's his second shot of the evening. Both have been off target, just rising, and I think given the opportunity that he had there, a bit of space, a bit of time, he should have done a bit better.
So Ocheng does well there to get around this man, but this touch was heavy. And it allowed Pilkington to nip in, but now... As we see action happening on the Hume bench, it appears to be Umut Wozdugan coming on, 20-year-old Hume youth player who's come up through the ranks of their academy. Oh, nice little turn from Alinejad. Mitch Cooper has to change schools now. And Alinejad gets on the ball once again. Just looping ball into the area. It was... Unmak was waiting underneath it, but Weir with a towering collection of the ball. Bowler has the ball stolen off him. Yeah. What can Sibatuara do on the right flank? Well, he can lose the ball, that's what he'll do, and allow Hume to come forward with it. Once again, they just turn around and slow the play down, and they'll try to switch the play out here to Ocheng, who's got a bit of room to manoeuvre on the right. Going to work against Unmak. Does well to bustle him and hold him up. Ball comes into the area, but it's nodded away. A goal was just announced from the other game. We'll get Demir to update us on it in a second, but it did elicit a whoa from the fans in the grandstand. As Ocheng is bundled over and will win the free kick. Pilkington adjudged to have fouled his former teammate. As Hume's first substitution is being made, and it will be Theo Michaelis coming off and replaced by Umut Bozdugan.
Yeah, early departure from the contest for Theo Michaelis. Got a good 58 minutes under his name. I don't think he's too happy to be coming off here. It's a rare start for him, and he is asking, I think, a few questions of the assistant coach, Peter Tichy. But update from that other game. 3-1 to the Dandenong Thunder, and I'm sure not a lot of people would have been predicting that one prior to the start of that game.
Well, let me join the fans here and then going, whoa. As Hewitt standing over the ball will look to float it in. Men accumulating in the area. But the free kick is just easily headed away. Danger not cleared yet, however. Early touch for Bozdugan, trying to nod the ball back into the area, but in the end, Salchin will look to slingshot his side forward in attack. He's got Pilkington in space on the left if Dandy City can work the ball over to him. He's continued his run, he's got acres of space, but instead they'll turn around and head in the other direction. In the middle now, this is dangerous. Chantalab has a shot! It took a touch perhaps and has gone wide for a corner.
I think Weir's done really well there to get a touch, which has diverted the ball away from goal and out for a corner kick. Another impressive save from the Hume City shot stopper, who's certainly been good for his money tonight.
Chantalab just picking up the ball outside the area and then launching a low shot, which we don't have the best angle on it from our broadcast position, but perhaps was sneaking into the bottom corner as Dandy City work a short corner routine, but results in very little, as short corners are wont to do. Just kidding. But now, it's no. Hume come away with it. Cooper under pressure once again, and he'll just splay the ball all the way out there onto the left flank. Men arriving into the middle of the penalty area. Instead they'll go back to Cooper outside the area. Cooper play the ball to Hewitt. Hewitt coming under significant pressure from McCormick. It's Lazaridis who put the ball back into the area for Hewitt, and then back to Cooper, who tries to play the ball back forward. And eventually it will be a free kick for Hume after McCormick just comes through and takes the legs out from Hewitt. Hume indicating that this will be a set routine, something from the training ground. Dandenong City getting all 11 players back behind this ball. Sibatoire is the most advanced man, standing in as a one-man wall. It will be a routine. Looking, they were at the back post trying to pick out Daniel Dixon on the run. However, the ball went long, and now Michael Weir screaming at Dixon to get back. He is a centre back. Ball is played for Chantalab. However, he can't get it out, but Unmac now has the ball and can cut inside. He has men in support. Oh, had Thompson in the area, but he just couldn't get it under control. Now Linajad cuts the ball back for Valeri. Tried to chip something in. Calls of a handball. No VAR down here today. And then the ball bounced into the area. Was potentially coming through. And that's free kick given away. Howard winning the foul. Ball is played quickly to Cooper on the left. Dandenong City want an offside. Cooper cuts back inside. Hasman arriving and the shot comes in, but it's just over the bar from Hewitt. Made strong contact with the inside of his boot, but has so many of the chances on that goal came in the first half. It just goes over the bar. Now that is a clever ball played over onto the left flank for Pilkington, but he can't control it. Ocheng with iffy looking throw, but the referee's wave play on, and now Ocheng goes down under pressure from Polyak. Demi, it just feels maybe is the pace picking up slightly in this second half?
Yeah, I think you've had two reasonable opportunities, two extremely presentable opportunities at either end of the park. Cooper with that earlier one that Salchin did really well to save, and then of course that one recently that we did really well to tip away. So I think both sides have have been more adventurous this half. I assume that will continue with the game opening up and the subs coming onto the park.
It was a poor attempted clearance by Dixon, but isn't made to pay for it as Hewitt comes away with the ball. Howard is dropped down deep. He can't collect, however, but he will have a throw in. Lazaridis making a quick run to present an option. Instead, Howard will just hand the ball off to the smaller man, as it looks like Dandenong City getting set to make their second substitution of the game. Their first one made in the first half when Andrijašević went down with an injury and was forced to depart for Unmak. So now that ball is played into space for Chantalab, but Weir quickly off his line, recognising the danger that the former A-League star and Sydney United and Parramatta Power star possessed. So it will be Zach Thompson departing for Dandenong City. He's going to be replaced by Sean Filipovic. Been a stalwart figure at the club, hasn't he?
Sean Filipovic, yeah, he's been at Dandenong City ever since he was a kid, so he's been one who's progressed through the junior ranks, and as a lot of clubs love to see, the juniors becoming senior team players, as he makes way for Thompson, who hasn't had the best of evenings for a player whose standards have been set quite high throughout much of the campaign. But Joey, I must say, I know this one still hasn't ticked past the 90, but coming into the game selections this week, I thought this would have been a much closer or a much more entertaining affair than the one at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. So far, that hasn't been the case, with the Thunder 3-1 up there, and it really caused a boil over to some extent.
The Thunder win could also have permeations for the bottom of the NPL Victoria table, as we'll go to Demir in a second, as just the City get the ball going down this right flank. Just unable to just really find any space to get a ball into the area. Eventually they do, in the direction of Chantalab, came in from Alinejad, but it's headed away. But Hume have a chance to break quickly here. Ball was played forward, just looking for Howard by Wozdugan. Oh, that's a tough-looking challenge from Lazaridis on Alinejad. The referee has now called it back. Yellow card for the Hume City left-back. And the trainer will be forced to enter the field for Cheyenne Alinejad, who's... We were talking about how he was having a good game, perhaps a bit quieter in the second half than he had been in the first half, but he's still on the turf, Demir.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where Lazaridis did get the ball, but his follow-through also caught Alinejad quite high. I'm not too sure how deliberate it was, because, again, it was a follow-through. Whether the momentum's just taken him in it or whether he slipped, I would have to have a closer inspection on that one. But the referee has reached into his pocket and given Lazaridis a yellow card.
Nick Hegarty on the sideline, just querying the delayed nature of the whistle. Dandenong City do have one substitute remaining to enter the fray. Still have Adrian Layer on the bench to introduce, should they choose to do so, but I don't imagine they'll want to introduce him for their right back. But he looks like he will be okay to continue, will Cheyenne Alinejad, who was part of that side that won promotion for Dandy City last year. One of the holdovers. But it will now be a free kick floated in by Alinejad, coming in looking. Chantalab underneath it, tries to flick it on, can't do so, however. Ball is not cleared, however. The header came in, but easy collection in the end for Weir. And now Cooper comes forward. but his ball is behind his man. Howard plays the ball back to Hewitt. Hewitt continues his run, but he's dispossessed.
Yeah, I think that half chance that Dandenong City just had, it was one of those ones where Polyak was really never going to, or he was always going to struggle to get enough power in that header to trouble Weir, and he might have just been better placed to try and volley it or half volley it into the back of the net, but I think he took the wrong option there as Hume City try and mount an attack through Cooper.
Cooper just coming under pressure from Lombardo, who wins the ball. However, the newly introduced Filipovic, sorry, can't win it, but now Dandy City have a chance on this left flank. Ball is floated into the area. It's an own goal! Well, ball was floated into the Hume area by Pilkington. And the ball has come off Harry Monaghan, the former Hibs youth player. And it's a rather anticlimactic way to take the lead, Demir, but Dandenong City, Hajduk, they will take it.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate for Harry Monaghan and Hume, but Dandenong City won't care too much about that. They've gotten a breakthrough and they'll hope to consolidate it. It's a great ball into the area by Luke Pilkington, because if your attack is not going to get it, there's always a good chance that it might come off a defender and find its way to the back of the net, and that's exactly what's happened there.
So it will go down as an own goal to Harry Monaghan. Sam, it's a pretty decent resume actually, does Harry Monaghan. Played Europa League with Irish side Derry City before he came out to Australia. Is now Dandy well they're up and about, putting Weir under significant pressure. Was Shantalab, the veteran, running around like a youth player. And now Dandenong City again will have a chance to slingshot out from the back.
We do have confirmation of that third goal scorer for Dandenong Thunder. It was Giannis Georgopoulos, and I'm told that he also scored quite a belter to add to the belters that he scored a few weeks back against the Oakley Cannons.
As Cooper is adjudged to be offside. As the wingers for Dandy City also appear to have switched. Sivatuara has come over to the left. Polyak out on the right. Ball is just booted clear by Salchin. Played back by Alinejad. Pilkington going to work, but he's brought down from behind by Buzdugan, and it will eventually be a free kick won by Pilkington. The referee not going to be rushed in blowing his whistle tonight. A number of times he's waited before ultimately deciding to blow the whistle. And on the right flank here, a bit of space to manoeuvre for Dandy City. Unmak. Polyak, sorry. Cormac plays it out onto the left flank now. Dandy City continuing to poke around, look for an option to bring it inside. Sivatuara will win a throw-in. Splayed back into the area, but nobody there waiting for the ball from Filipovic. Chantalab again applying the pressure and enables Valeri to just stick a boot out in front of the resulting hurried pass and put it out for another Hume throw-in. Chance now here for Dandy City. The ball came in. It was Polyak that had an effort and was maybe requesting the referee. Was it a handball? It wasn't, but will be a throw-in on the right flank to Dandy City. Filipovic trying to present an option, but he can't do so. However, that ball was quickly cut out by McCormack. Oh, another strong, cheeky turn from Alinishad, and he puts a ball into the area, but that is just booted clear by the Hume defence. Oh, he came through with it! Did Topolovic. Just the big centre back just picked the ball up, toot, and let loose with a shot that just went off the top of the crossbar and out, as Hume prepare another substitution on their bench. Will be George Howard, so he won't get his inaugural NPL Victoria goal for Hume just yet, being replaced by Marko Delic, who has scored. He has 1 goal in the season, as Marko Delic in 10 appearances.
That would have been one for the highlights reels for years to come. That would have been an absolutely sensational goal by Steven Topalovic had it been a few centimetres lower. But Marko Delic coming on for Hume City is a good young prospect, previously in the Melbourne City youth setup. Prior to that, he had been a Heidelberg United junior. So I do like the build of him. He does appear to be someone who definitely looks like a number 9. Let's see if he can play like one, and I'm sure if he can score a goal, he'll already be doing half the job.
Oh, is that coming together there from Pilkington and Ocheng as Cooper looks 6s and 7s there trying to collect the ball, but instead the ball is played through, and now there's a chance for Delic to make an immediate impact, but he's going to get forced wide. Ball floated in the direction of Hewitt. He can't get to it, and Cooper can't keep it in either. Hume 2 substitutions down. They still have James Brown waiting on the bench. Would serve as a handy addition to make if you are chasing a deficit, as Hume are. Delic will watch as that ball bounces down. He's played out to Bozdugan. He'll just play the ball back into tight areas there that Delic is trying to operate in. The ball instead will come out. Played forward for Chantalab, but it was a 4-on-1 situation, and Dixon applied the pressure. But now Chantalab comes away with the ball, takes it past one man. Plays it out to the left now. Sibatuara forced to work against Ocheng. Does well to keep the ball. Ocheng behind the play, brings down Sibatuara. Referee for now will wave play on, and Hume come away with the ball. And Cooper can't chase it down.
Yeah, 2 former Gold Coast United youth team teammates up against each other in Steven Topalovic and Mitch Cooper. James Brown, of course, another one, formerly of Gold Coast United. And I think, yeah, it's just a matter of time. You'd expect, if he is fit enough to play or be named on the bench, that James Brown will be making an introduction very shortly because Hume really do need a goal. By the way, updating you on the full-time score in the other game, and Dandenong Thunder What an upset that is. 3-1 against the Bentley Greens, second place on the ladder, trying to close the gap onto Avondale, but they've been undone by the team that occupied bottom position on the ladder coming into this round, who have now got themselves into 12 and into that pro-relegation place, playoff place. So if Kingston pick up any points tomorrow, we'll have a new bottom place team in Pascaval, who have undergone some turmoil over the last couple of weeks with Vitale Ferrante and a number of senior players, including Davey Van Schip and Michael Ferrante, departing the club.
Real pep in the Dandy City steps now as they're chasing down the Hume defence, not allowing them to settle as they bring the ball out. And Linejad, who's done well to cut that ball out. However, Polyak goes down under a challenge and then can't keep it in, as will be a throw-in. Chandelap. Not Chandelap that time, no, that was Polyak applying the pressure. Delic. His touch is poor, however, but Cooper has a chance and he'll go down and win a free kick. Will Mitch Cooper? Will be Hewitt standing over the ball for Hume, unless it won't be. Commentator's curse. It will be a shot, but, well, stop me if you've heard this one before, especially down that side, but the shot, that time coming in from Dixon, sails well over the bar. And Salchin will just punt this ball long. But the wind does collect it and it dies a bit in the air. And eventually Sibatuara will come away with the ball. Just take it down that left flank, but it's going to be a 2-on-1 situation, and the 2-on-1 will eventually force Sibatuara to give away the free kick, and he does lash out with an arm there, thankfully not making contact, so he won't be booked for it. No doubt would have been an immediate yellow card had the Queenslander made contact with a player. The ball goes back to Weir as the wind begins to pick up a bit more so than it has been throughout the game. There's been a steady breeze towards the right side of your broadcast throughout this game, but hasn't really affected play too much for the most part. Dandy City trying to get something going down that right flank. They will eventually force a turnover. Valerio the working the ball into McCormick in the middle, and he'll just play it out on the left to Pilkington, but Delic does well to close him down. Pilkington throws the ball in. Now, Pilkington will just amble forward once again to throw another ball in. Just, ball has gone out according to the linesman. Here immediately say that's white, indicating that it is a Hume throw-in. Ball is played long, looking for Cooper, who gives away a free kick, trying to work his way to the front in front of Lombardo. Hegarty, not a fan of the decision. As we approaching the final 5 minutes of this half, Dandenong City holding on to a 1-goal lead after Harry Monaghan inadvertently turning a ball into his own net. And still no, yes, as Damir points out to me, still no James Brown. If you are a Hume City fan, maybe you want to see him, well, he's on the bench now, maybe you want to see him get up off of that thing and come onto the field. I apologise, that was awful. Oh. As Tennant came under pressure from Chantala, but was able to get the ball away. Ball will come back to Tennant. Advances forward and finds the ball to Cooper, who plays it to Ocheng on the right. Ocheng will try to just float a ball into the middle, but it's charged down by Pilkington.
Yeah, good defensive duties there from Pilkington, but I think Ocheng should have played that ball in earlier, looked for a cross, because by the time he did delay it, it allowed Pilkington to get closer to him and ultimately deflect that ball out for a throw-in.
Ball goes into no man's land, but Hume eventually coming away with the ball. Bowler played it out to Monaghan, who then played it out onto the left flank. Lazaridis just did enough to win the throw-in, but he took it quickly. But now it's going Dandy City's way. As the fourth official is manoeuvring around to make a substitution. Not sure which side is making it yet. Adrian Leia is up and about for Dandenong City, so I'll let Damir break that down for us.
Adrian Leia is about to come on. We assume Ante Mordic is going to take off an attacking player or a more advanced player and put a third centre back in there to really ensure that they don't let this lead slip and lose the 3 points, because it'll be definitely an important 3 points for Dan City.
So that is a very poor turnover there. Giving Filipovic a chance to come away with the ball, but Hume just put out the fire, and it will indeed be Leia getting ready to come on. Parlovic just puts that ball out, and here we go. Dandy City wanted to make a substitution, but Hume took the throw in quickly. Won't let them do so. Ball was floated in the direction of Delic, but it goes over his head, and Salchin will now pick it up. And it will be Sibatuara who will be departing for Adrian Leia, who's now on the ball and very lucky not to give away a free kick there, working against Cooper. Cooper comes away and plays it back to Ocheng. And he'll just play it all the way back to Tennant, who'll then play it across to Dixon. Nodded onwards. Neither side really able to lay a pinpoint pass at the moment. Perhaps tired bodies here in the final dying stages of the game. Hewitt under pressure from Valeri. The veteran just still running, as has Shantalab. He hasn't stopped closing down in this game. And there is a substitution being prepared for Hume as well. However, it is not James Brown preparing to come on for Hume City. It is instead Tom Harris, as Ocheng goes down under pressure from Sibatuara, and that will be the final involvement for Sibatuara. Adrian Leia entering the fray. Made his return from a facial injury last week and in a late substitute appearance, and once again being introduced late. It is Daniel Dixon coming off for Hume City as Tom Harris enters the fray and immediately moves into the penalty area. Hume desperate to try to get something on this Stephen Hewitt delivery. Well, comes in, ball still in there. Hume will have another chance. Shot was made by the newly introduced Harris, but he couldn't make proper contact on it. Ball still bouncing around, however. Low cross comes in, but it's cleared again.
You're replacing Samuel. It's Carlin Aino.
So it looks like Leia, if we are correct in our thinking, Leia will move into a 6 role, but now Dandenong City have a chance to break up down this right flank. Ball comes in. Chantalab chests the ball down, but eventually, no, it's not a chest, it's a hand. Well, it's a shoulder, arm, whatever you want to call it. And it will be a free kick to Hume City.
That was a penalty for the Matildas last week.
Yes, Demir pointing out some moments of the Women's World Cup recently where stuff like that has come up.
It wasn't ultimately called for the Matildas last week, that shoulder/handball decision, but good to see referee Jack Morgan applying the rules tonight. So we see Chantalab on the ball here.
Women's World Cup still going on. Big game overnight. France versus the United States, playing for the right to get knocked out by England.
I know we're getting a bit distracted, but would you say that the United States is probably the only country in the world whose women's team is probably more well known than their men's team?
Canada?
Good shout.
Yeah. 3 minutes of added time will be happening here as Ocheng gives away the free kick. On subject of women's team better known than the men's, perhaps China as well. As McCormick and Ocheng having a bit of a disagreement about what constitutes a foul and what doesn't. Ultimately, they're not the arbiter though, the referee is, and he awarded it, and now it's booted forward. Ocheng will just put that ball over his head. Cooper and Leia will compete with it, and Leia will bring down Cooper quickly, and Cooper will just get the ball moving forward immediately and then go down in a massive bodies. It was Lombardo, I think, that was still rolling around trying to get up, that eventually brought down Cooper.
Yeah, Lombardo, lucky not to get a yellow there because he took out Cooper with a rugby challenge without the ball. As we see Michael Weir, the big goalkeeper, come up. He has scored once before on his debut for Hume City back in 2017 against the Melbourne Knights. So Hewitt will deliver this one in.
Fortunately, he can't find Weir. That would have been fantastic, and Dandy City will put the ball out. Dandy City fans indicating that they want the whistle, but Hume will retain possession and a chance to move forward. Maybe something late. A late miracle, perhaps. Well, a miracle if you're a Hume fan at the very least.
No foul! No foul!
That's well done from Cheyenne Alinija, just letting the ball run, and when it became apparent that his man was still coming, just booting it into him and winning a goal kick, which will, no doubt, just Demir Salchin will put his absolute boot through.
48, we're at 48.
Dandenong City bench doing their own bit of timekeeping. We have gone 3 minutes now in added time. And that is it. Dandenong City continue their magical run here in the latter stages of the NPL Victoria season. They back up last week's 2-0 win over the Melbourne Knights with a 1-0 win over Hume City. In the end, well, they didn't actually put the ball in the back of the net. It came off the head of Harry Monaghan as he desperately tried to clear the ball away, but in the end, it doesn't matter. 3 points in the bag for Hajduk. Their run continues. Damir, is it a deserved win for the home side?
Well, they certainly worked hard for it, and it's one of those evenly matched games where both teams had a few opportunities here and there. Probably Dandenong City shaded it when it comes to clear-cut opportunities. So, yeah, I think you can say that they have deserved it. And I think it's a big result for them because it certainly means that not only have they pushed away from the relegation danger, but I think that they can ultimately mount a finals push. And, you know, we might see some teams coming out of that top 6 and some teams coming in. And Dandenong City, I think, is well placed to do so. However, having said that, they've got 3 away trips coming up, including what promises to be a mouth-watering matchup Saturday week when they make the short trip down to Dackland Stadium and face local rivals Dandenong Thunder. And given the fact that it was a 7-goal thriller here last time, I'm sure that one is going to be another end-to-end exciting contest between the two rivals.
Absolutely. Well, you're talking about finals, Demir. Of course, this will change. There's only been 2 games so far in this round of play, but Dandenong City currently sitting on 22 points, just 3 points behind 6th placed Oakley Cannons. So definitely firing themselves back into the finals race. Hume City a loss today, but they will retain 4th position. 5th place Green Gully, 4 points behind them. So not completely disastrous for Hume in their push to retain their place in that top 4, but in the end can't get the job done today because thanks to the own goal from Harry Monaghan, the score here at Dandenong City finishes Dandenong City 1, Hume City 0. I've been Joe Lynch. I've been joined by Damir Kulash on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages. Be sure to join us throughout the rest of the weekend, throughout the rest of the season and through the finals for more action from NPL Victoria, NPL Victoria's under-20s competition and NPL Women's Victoria. But for now, goodbye.